Did you ever play Portal 1 when it was new? I did, and I remember it having this uncomfortable creepy vibe that Portal 2 doesn't have, even with its higher stakes. People talk about the Source Engine's inherent creepiness, but what happens when a game makes you feel truly alone, watched, and paranoid all at the same time, on purpose? I'm a graphic designer who loves these games way too much, and this is my perspective on why Portal makes people say zoinks with its design choices.
Test 1. The importance of graphic design.
A major part of how games make you feel is down to graphic design. I think people are usually expecting a developer to be like, okay, one more pixel, yes, perfect, that will be £100,000. But execution really is just one
Did
piece.
someone say execution?
Oh my.
It's a tale as old as time. High pixel count and boring direction, nobody cared. Low pixel count but brilliant direction, game good. This is one reason Half-Life is still so enjoyable even to normies like me over 25 years on. Its direction speaks for itself, and the size of textures and stuff just melts away as you get immersed. I don't care, I'm in Black Mesa, I've got aliens to kill. Just look at the difference in response to these two COD games. This game has one level that feels like a bad dream, like the moment violence overtakes your mind and everything around you fades away apart from like your hands. You don't get there by simply adding more pixels. Better channels than me have analyzed this, and I urge you to play it. Modern Warfare 3 on the other hand is, I know what's different. Don't tell me. Wait, no, don't tell me. Don't tell me. Wait, no, don't tell me. Don't tell me. Don't. But your brain is constantly decoding both the things you see and the things you don't quite see. Fidelity is just one piece of the pie, like the shockingly low amount of you who are subscribed. Unlike Half-Life 2, which is dense and packed with signifiers, a lot of Portal's design relies on what the absence of visual input can communicate. Follow me back to 2007, before the divorce.
Test 2. Environmental design.
You wake up in a white room, in a cage of glass, empty, featureless. I think one of the best ways for me to describe what Portal does with its design is to compare it to Half-Life 2's. Really show you how Valve plays piano with your brain cells. Half-Life focuses more on the overt, the immediate, and the more traditional. There's enough subtlety in there, but for much of the game, environments and enemies are designed to be bloody and typically creepy. It's more your typical game experience, except much better than usual, I think. Ironically, Combine technology is responsible for a ton of this dead world's few remaining bright, saturated colors. For example, in the Combine's helmets, their energy fields, and some of their weapons and tech. It's almost too big. They do not belong here, but they're powerful. It's as if they're bigger than the game itself, trying to break through their medium, like the very first distorted guitar performances. Portal takes this idea and flips it upside down in its design language. The absurd is made common, and the mundane is nowhere to be seen. There is nothing comfortable for a human to latch onto. Much like Gordon battles through a grey world with his goofy suit and range of weapons, Shell's iconic orange jumpsuit and her ability to bring colour into the world is a similar statement. But unlike Gordon, she has no allies and no destination other than, I guess, not in Aperture Science. She's only saving herself because that's all that's left. If anything, a more bleak situation. These are two different sci-fi design philosophies, entirely, which is why Portal is such a good contrast to Half-Life. They're both horrifying, but for totally different reasons. Bravo, Gaben. In Portal, we're surrounded by this same light and these perfect modern forms that define the Combine. But when that's all there is, it just feels so cold. Even your little friend the music box, with its jolly tune, feels so artificial, so manufactured. Your only company is a dispassionate robotic voice. The fun and exciting features of Portal 2 are not yet here. Welcome to Aperture Science. I mean, whatever that is. Because we don't even know that. The walls of this perfect science paradise are dirty. There's dirty brown water everywhere. Nobody cares about this place anymore. Everyone is dead. Rotting. There are still cameras following you. Are there dead eyes stuck watching the monitors for eternity? And those windows probably don't have anything behind them. Is that comforting or scary? Is being watched better than being completely alone? Does being watched by a robot count? When you come across the Ratman dens eventually, the most human things in the game, aside from Shell, it feels weird, seeing those mysterious icons of Aperture depicted as if there is some inherent spiritual value or power to them, like the hieroglyphics of Egypt. Complete with paranoid ramblings and of course beans. You can tell from how the Aperture machines are drawn that someone was truly terrified, truly deranged. Without context, these rooms are already very disturbing. With context, they're even worse. But the game doesn't just tell you all about the curse of Doug Ratman. You don't find his decaying corpse. He doesn't jump out and go, "I'm Doug Ratman, I've been watching you this whole time." This would be less scary. For now, you're left to interpret it from these uncanny scribblings. Then you have to move on and pretend this is all just a funny little puzzle game. A lot of Portal 1 is taken directly from Half-Life 2, and it inherits a lot of its atmosphere as well. And don't forget, Portal was still building its own identity, so we get this weird halfway point. The silliness is still there, but it feels more grounded.
Test 3. NPC Design.
Valve cleverly designed these NPCs to look completely unrelatable. There is not a single ounce of humanity in those freaky, evil red Cyclops things. But worse than that, there's nothing animalistic, alien, or overtly threatening either. The turrets could be scarier than any enemy in Half-Life with just a couple tweaks. There's a sadism to them, but their design remains neutral, creating a weird disconnect. They don't run at you or even frown, they just stare, still. They try to manipulate you because they can talk for whatever reason. They have this innocent little voice, maybe even a soul, and it's locked in that neutral, streamlined shell. So many questions, and whatever your mind comes up with is probably quite scary. Unlike the turrets, cores seem a little more lucid. Instead of simply reacting to input like enemy spotted, enemy lost, etc., some of them actually try to strike up a conversation with you. And they're innocent, they're cute even. A mix of human expression with the rigid rules of robotics. It never feels good to incinerate the curiosity core. It's like putting a baby in a blender. This thing is creepy as hell though. Then we have GLaDOS, who as everyone knows looks a bit like a bound woman, reflecting the fate of Carolyn, something we don't yet know. And why is she so conscious, capable of taking this place over, of plotting and bullying you? In what feels like borrowing from Shodan, Valve flips Portal's design philosophy on its head, giving us something more human in form and behavior, but still never quite granting us life. And so when the companion cube comes along, which isn't an NPC, just a little suggestion and a colourful symbol of human emotion is enough to convince us to befriend it, to want to protect it, to miss it. In terms of design, the heart does a lot of heavy lifting for the companion cube's mostly blank look, like a drop of blood in the deep waters of Aperture Science. It stands out and it reminds you of your humanity. Despite the uncanniness, people could not get enough of the game's NPCs. The explosion of love and popularity which led to Portal 2 being more silly, fun, and character-driven is truly a sign that they did something new. Valve just has that tight a grip on all of our brainstems. Throughout Portal 1, they're developing Stockholm Syndrome across multiple fronts. Many of the feelings I've described here may not relate to you at all. They left me a while ago after I finished the game for the 20th time. But I remember how it felt, and how Portal created that perfect, enjoyable paranoia for my friends and I. We were hooked. Now, I've had to leave a couple of things out here because these videos tend to do better when I keep them short, but for anyone that has doubts about graphic design and trying to analyze it is just a waste of time, maybe you'd find a design internship really rewarding. With the right company and the right people, design is rich, thoughtful, and satisfying. Designers actually do debate, discuss, and create narratives, and that's why these things inspire feeling. Someone made them for you. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed,
Subscribe or you will be incinerated.